Have you fallen into an open manhole recently? Do you find yourself in the company of strangers? Well, then you might very well be in the feature Underground. Until the end of time, my name is Hunter Lanier, and I am here yet again with another review from Fantastic Fest. This time it is the writing, directing debut of film critic Chris Stuckmann, Shelby Oaks. At first, it may seem a little odd that a film critic is making his own movie, but if you think about it, it's really not that uncommon. You have, of course, the French New Wave guys, you have Peter Bogdanovich, you have Paul Schrader, and let's not forget that Roger Ebert himself got his hands dirty, and with Russ Meyer no less. I also love this new trend, hopefully, of it happening with YouTube film critics, because I would love someone to fund my screenplays. And if Shelby Oaks is successful, well, then maybe YouTube will become, for Hollywood, what Latin America is for Major League Baseball. So I am rooting for Shelby Oaks. All that said, I unfortunately cannot give Shelby Oaks a good review. But let me start with what the movie is about and its structure, because therein lies some of the broader issues. And this is all going to be without spoilers, of course. The film begins as a documentary where we learn all about this group of early YouTubers called the Paranormal Paranoids. Their leader is a young woman named Riley, who goes missing after the release of an especially spooky video. In the documentary, Riley's sister, Mia, is interviewed, and we find out that even though Riley is deemed to be dead, Mia does not believe it, and has not given up hope that she will eventually find Riley. The documentary abruptly ends after a certain something happens, and we are thrust out of the documentary world into the reality of the movie, where we follow Mia as she searches for Riley, and that search leads her to creepy places and bumps in the night and other such things. That's roughly what you can expect. Starting the film out with this documentary, I can get behind. In many ways, it's just a more engaging version of the Star Wars crawl, where instead of just throwing paragraphs of exposition at you, you get to watch like a little bit of a Last Time on Shelby Oaks that catches you up with the context of the movie. It's not the subtlest or most skillful way to slide us context, but it's something, it's unique enough. However, after that, the movie really struggles with momentum and pacing. And you'll often hear people talk about, or they'll criticize the movie's pacing. But what does pacing really even mean? Pacing, it means the movie doesn't have a natural flow. The story and character beats, they don't complement each other in a linear way. They don't build. The film feels very choppy, like it's just made up of these big chunks of this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, without any connective tissue, like characterization. In fact, when the movie ended, I thought we were at the beginning of the third act. I thought, okay, they got all the setup out of the way. Now the other shoe will drop. But alas, we were all out of shoes. And if this was a different type of movie, like, I don't know, like for example, like a two-lane blacktop, well, the lack of momentum really wouldn't matter as much because the emphasis would be on other things like character or dialogue or atmosphere or some other ethereal, in the moment point of interest. Shelby Oaks has none of that going for it. It is a plot-driven movie. And the problem is that it throws you in the car and then it doesn't drive you anywhere interesting. It just drives you around and around the parking lot of a horror movie strip mall of chain store tropes. There is a certain demented direction that the plot takes at one point that I thought, okay, this could be interesting. But then the movie hits the brakes and skids right into the next strip mall. Speaking of the tropes, the movie is abrasively generic. Chris Stuckmann, the writer and director, gave a brief Q&A before and after the movie where He talked about how he actually pitched the movie to a producer at Fantastic Fest in 2019. And after watching the movie, I can't imagine what the pitch was. Now, there's something that happens toward the end that I could see being the hook. But other than that, the movie is just found footage of a creepy cabin. It's a woman walking around creepy woods at night. It's a woman walking around a creepy prison. It's a creepy old lady. It's stuff that you've all seen before, with nothing new added on top of it. It's all presented as is. There's even a "who killed Laura Palmer" motif. And by being so generic, it prevents the movie from ever being scary. Because to be scared, you have to be uneasy first. You have to be put off balance. And when you're watching Shelby Oaks, you always feel like you're someplace familiar. Perhaps the most interesting part of the Q&A was Stuckmann reveals, maybe he's revealed this before, that he grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And while he was growing up, his sister was excommunicated. And his family would refer to her as dead. He then draws a line from that personal experience to the movie, since the movie features a woman who is told her sister is dead but knows she's not and goes looking for her. This is a really nice connection and an interesting one, but that emotional confusion and gaslighting that he felt, I'm sure, as a child, it's not palpable in the movie. If the film had a strong emotional core like his own personal experience would suggest, that would go a long way in compensating for the horror cliches and the lack of momentum. But it just doesn't invest enough time into Mia's emotional state. The film is too concerned with plot and kicking the plot off and keeping the plot going that it relegates its characters to being passengers. So then you're just left with a movie that doesn't have a strong emotional core, doesn't have any momentum, and has muted scares that contribute nothing to the horror movie canon. Oh, and one more thing. Normally, I hate the idea of the logic police. Oh, this character would never say that, or why doesn't the character just do this? To me, that kind of commentary is the most unimaginative way to watch and decipher a movie. But that said, there were at least 2 or 3 moments during Shelby Oaks where I found myself scrunching my eyebrows. And maybe it's because the rest of the movie doesn't work, so it accentuated these other things that I normally wouldn't care about. I'll give you one example, and this happens very early in the movie. Something happens that's in the trailer, and the main character gets blood all over her face. Then the movie cuts to later in the afternoon. The sun has gone down. She's in the living room with her husband watching TV, and she still has blood all over her face. At no point during the day did she wash the blood of this stranger off of her face. She didn't take a shower. What if there's blood in her mouth? Anyway, not a big deal, but I just smiled when I saw her with blood still on her face, and it took me out of the movie. There's another moment like that at the very end that takes you out of the movie at a point where you don't want to be taken out of it. It's like really important that the audience is in it. But I'll let you figure that out for yourself. Well, those are my thoughts on Shelby Oaks. Now is the time for you to let me know your thoughts on my thoughts. Next up, I will be seeing The Black Phone 2. So I will have a review. I'm seeing that tonight, so I'll have a review of that out tomorrow. Stay tuned and tell your friends that Feature Underground is the #1 place in the world to get the early scoop on upcoming movies. Until next time, I leave you with the always comforting reminder that every day underground is a good day.